G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. I've got a WCS C qualifier match coming for you today. It is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss on Polar Night. We've got no more snow on Polar Night thanks to the latest 2.1 patch which was just released yesterday. So we'll see how this one goes for both of these two players, two very high quality players from the C region, looking to try and fight through the bracket. This was of course around about a week and a half ago. I think it was the 11th of January or something like that. I can't remember the exact date. But there were quite a bunch of games streamed and casted by Zeph and Maynard over on the ACL Pro stream, but there were a few games that were missed out that were, of course, you know, when you can't really do too much when you've got just the one stream. So I thought I'd grab a couple of the replays from the players who were also in the WCSC qualifier bracket, and we get a couple of casts going. So there should be a bunch of these up on the channel. Hopefully you get to see as many of those as you can. Make sure you do share and comment and subscribe to the channel and all that cool stuff if you haven't already. Big shout out to those of you who already have subscribed. I do really appreciate the support and that kind of stuff. Let's have a look at our players, starting up at the top end of Polar Night as our yellow Zerg player here. Playing for Team Root Gaming, it is Petraeus. And of course he is a player who has done really well in the C scene, was a massively rising star throughout, I guess, the end of 2012 and then through 2013 as well. Did really well in a lot of the tournaments that we have in the C region and really proved himself. So Cats said, come on over, and went over to the Root Gaming house and is living there at the moment with the Root crew. His opponent down at the bottom end of the map here is our, what is that, green Protoss. I just totally was looking for the word. I knew what the color was, but I had no idea what the word was. There's crazy stuff that happens when it's like 6 in the morning, man. Down here is our green Protoss player for Team Flash. It is Blysk. And Blysk is also, as you said, a very high quality player. He's been around for a while now as well, and has really proven himself to be one of the top Protoss players in the region. Of course, as many people will know, in Australia and in C in general, throughout obviously Australia, New Zealand and Southeast Asia, we have very few Protoss and Terran players, and you know, Blysk is one of the very few Protoss who have proven himself to be a really high quality player. Does some really nice stuff with timings, and also has, I've been told by a couple of Zerg players, just has some really great macro play when it comes to mid and late game. So they do get a little bit worried about facing off against Blysk in the late game. So we'll see how Petraeus is going to deal with this time. Of course, Petraeus himself has got some of his own particular quirks and talents that he you know, brings to his game when he is playing his ZVP, and also he does some similar things in ZVZ as well. But in particular, one of the things that Petraeus loves to do that I do really like watching, really loves flanking attacks. And now on this map, for example, if you say say Petraeus was taking this base over here, you've got like a few positions in which you can attack into this base, and so Petraeus is one who will set up attacks coming in from multiple angles, like the Raptors in Jurassic Park, really quickly, and just really well positioned as well. So this is something which we do expect to see from Petraeus when he is playing in this game. It looks like we are going to get a Twilight Council coming out of Blysk. I'm not sure whether this will be for Blink or perhaps DTs. Just looking at the gas, yeah, we got a fair amount of gas coming in. The Nexus has gone down. I'll be interested to see what the next how this little next portion of gas goes for Blysk. I mean, it certainly is possible that he could throw down a Dark Shrine as well, but we'll keep an eye on things. Petraeus now taking his third base over on the top, or over on the right-hand side of the map, building up that drone count. A few lings are going to be coming out, 10 in total. Has taken a couple of the drones out of the gas because he doesn't really need as much gas at this point. The only real thing you're going to expend gas on for the first, like, you know, like around about, what is it, 7 or 8 minutes is going to be ling speed. You might want to get a Roach Warren at some point, and then you may want to get your Lair coming up. It all depends on how you're reacting to your opponent. But as you can see, Petraeus now moving across the map with a lot of lings. Wants to try and snipe down this Stalker. If he can get that, that'd be really nice for him. But it looks like, whoop, wow, that is like, that Stalker must be butted up or something like that, because it somehow slipped out of the noose of all of those lings there, and that was actually rather impressive. The Stalker survives on 12 of health. A lot of the Lings do die out and Petraeus is forced back home. He's going to be feeling extremely unlucky for missing that. And I guess Blysk is going to be feeling very lucky, the opposite there, as he did get that Stalker out of there. So it is going to be Blink. We're going to get a few more gates now going down, and Blysk is going to look to attack. I would assume that he's going to want to attack into this base here, just because you can use this high ground. You sort of put your Stalkers up here, use this as your platform to attack back into. So you want to be pushing at the hatchery there, and then just sort of retreating back to the high ground to utilize the high ground there, a little bit like Star Wars. So it is most likely going to be a big Blink attack. Yeah, a couple more gates coming into effect. So we're going to have a total of 7 gates now out on the map for Blysk once all of those complete. Now, it'll be intriguing to see how he's going to move out here, because the thing with this kind of Blink play is that if you can hide the fact that you've mostly gone for Stalkers, then you can your opponent may invest a little bit too much in Roaches or something like that, because of course Roaches are really great first responders, as well as having those Lings out as well. So Petraeus needs to be careful with identifying what is coming up, and he does have an Overlord now moving through, but the gateways are flowering open just to the side there. We do have this Overlord should spot. He spotted a couple of the gateways, but he doesn't know exactly what's going on just yet, but now he certainly will, as an Overlord moves into position above the high ground here, and Blysk is going to start moving forwards. We've got 7 sentries available here for Blysk, and he's going to have to do some really good force fielding to make sure that this works, because there is a lot of space, there is a lot of attack space here for Petraeus to come in, and here, as you can see, just sort of positioning his units, getting prepared for the big attack. There he goes, coming in. Wow, the force fields from Blysk, just a little bit too late there. I think he sort of, he let almost all of the units in. It was almost like he didn't even need to force field at that point, but he does clean up everything. The Zealots just smashing through the Lings on the ground, and then of course the Stalker's able to help out in dealing with those Roaches. And now as the Queen goes down, the third base could be in trouble here. It depends on the Warpins if they do come in, because I mean, Blysk is going to be able to power down a lot of these Roaches, but is he going to be able to finish it off? As we can see now that Burrow has been finished up, and some of these units are going to be burrowing here to sort of save their health and sort of save their lives a bit as well. And now we can see the Blysk starting to push forwards yet again. He wants this hatchery. I kind of feel like, yeah, just trying to target down some of the Roaches, put some damage on that hatchery when you can, but otherwise you really need to be very careful with the movement of some of these units. Beautiful Blink there, that Stalker on 3 health, just surviving. And I think he should be able to take the hatchery here, and then you'd probably expect a recall out. I mean, we see the drones burrowing there, so yeah, I kind of feel like you're not really going to get too much done from this point, as Blysk is now starting to lose a lot of the units. The Roaches have their speed, they've got Burrow, they are going to smash down a lot of these units here, and it is probably time to get out of Dodge, because he's not going to have a fun time trying to take on those burrowed Roaches. But now, as Blysk looks to retreat back, he's going to perhaps have a look and see what is going on over here, but as you can see, I guess, you know, after the Time Warp is there, there's no availability to recall, but he could perhaps start to move back. I'm not sure. Like, I mean, 7 gates, it is rather all in, but he has done quite a fair amount of damage right now. Petraeus sitting on 43 workers at this point to the 42 of Blysk, but now if Petraeus can kill off these units, then he will be able to sort of work things back right now. And as the Stalkers move forwards, they want to try and get a good angle to engage all of these units, and a lot of the Zealots are stuck at the back. Guardian Shield goes up, but the Roaches across here are now putting themselves in a beautiful position, just microing some of the units back. Now more Roaches and Lings approaching from behind. They're just marching up the ramp, but it looks like with a Burrow, Petraeus is going to try and lure his opponent into a false sense of security. And as the Time Warp goes down, it looks like at this point Blysk should be able to get out of there. I mean, they are Blink Stalkers, so it's not exactly hard for them to get away from all of these Roaches, but he decides to stick around, wants to continue on with this attack. We do have an Observer on the way that is going to help out with the detection, but now Petraeus wanting to finish, looks like he's, well, not finish things off, but I mean, execute the next phase in style. Is going to pick up the Roach speed upgrade, the Roach movement upgrade, and while they're burrowed, so he is going to be available to throw down some Roaches underground and sort of send them out to attack through force fields. What you can do is just burrow and go underneath the force fields. It's a really cool little thing to add in. But now Blysk moving forwards, he's got a, he knows that the third base is now being erected over at the left-hand side of the map instead. Throws down a pylon. We've got a Ling that's here is covering the Zelnaga Watchtower, so Petraeus will know what is coming, and he knows that this is going to be pretty all in from this point forwards from Blysk. I mean, unless he really kills his opponent here, it's going to be tough for him to try and fight this one back. But I mean, as we can see, Petraeus just sort of preparing some defenses back at home just in case he loses the third base. The burrowed movement is just about done. As you can see, the Stalkers front line there, up against the hatchery. The Mothership Core is also available, but Petraeus coming in from a really nice angle there. You can see he was just trying to get this sort of concave going so he could attack into that big cluster of Protoss units. But now, as the Roaches get their highlights, he's now going to probably burrow them once the force fields go down and just sort of push his way through. There you go, just charges underneath. There is an observer to spot all of the Roaches, but not to worry, because now Petraeus has so many units moving forwards. There is even a Spine Crawler or two that are going to burrow. A Queen has come out to help out, but it's still just a little bit too much for Petraeus to deal with. These Roaches do not have any upgrades. Neither do the Stalkers or any of the ground units here for our Protoss player. And Blysk, I mean, ooh, this is starting to feel like it's getting to that point where it's quite worrisome to try and actually push against this Roach force. Like, I mean, with some good blinks, he should be okay, but as we can see, Petraeus' micro here, just to sort of keep some of the units back and forth, is really, really top quality here, and this is what you don't want. You don't want to be face-palming against, or sort of face-walling against those Roaches there, because they will knock down all of the Stalkers, and that is exactly what we can see here. The Roach count is down at 21, but the Stalker count has been destroyed, down to 10, down to 9, and slowly but surely all of those units will be falling down. And as Petraeus retreats for a moment, some of his health will regen, he'll get to jump straight back into the battle here and try and kill off the rest of these Stalkers. So Petraeus has been kept to 2 bases. He's not really mining off 3 at the moment, but Blysk has done a rather large sort of I don't know, I guess it's an all-in at this point, because he has thrown so much at this to try and get it to work. If he can maybe get across and set up a 3rd base, perhaps this would be a good idea. Then he can try and get himself back into this. But I'm sure at this point, Blysk is probably thinking, well, I've got to try and buy my way back into this, because now there are so many Roaches, it's going to be hard to attack into all of this. How am I going to get back into this? Because soon the Zerg economy is going to start to kick in. We can see just a few drones being added in every now and then so that Petraeus can get his economy into a good spot. But he now pushes forward. So many Roaches now just coming up the ramp there. There are, God, there's 37 Roaches out of the map right now, 39 in total. And, well, Petraeus is going to be able to... I would assume that Petraeus might want to try and borrow some units down here as well. He needs to try and make sure that his opponent is accounting for everything, because when you've had to hold off this kind of attack for so long, every single purchase that Blysk makes with his units back home needs to be very efficient, because he's so far behind on economy where you would normally be. As we can see, mineral patches inside the main base wearing out, Immortal starting to come through as well. There is a forge on the way, but I mean, his upgrades, even if he starts some and chrono boosts them, he's still going to be a lot further behind where he would like to be at this point. But that said, Petraeus is still at a, well, he's still at 0-0 himself. Does he even have his own Evo Chambers at this point? I don't think he does, no. There's no Evo Chambers. There is an infestation pick coming up, but Petraeus is looking to try and march through and take out this base if it ever does get started. But he finds some Stalkers there. We'll see a probe and a pylon, perhaps looking to try and get that base up is Blysk, but it's not going to happen for now, as there are way too many Roaches out on the map. Now, recognizing that he's in a very comfortable position at this point, Petraeus dumps down 8 drones. He's going to get a couple more Overlords out to keep himself from being blocked, and his economy is going to get kickstarted in just a second, and it is going to really kick up a notch as he looks to just prepare himself for the mid to late game as we add in the pathogen glands on those infestors. Would love to see the Evo Chamber get started. Come on, Petraeus, you can get those upgrades. There he goes. +1 to missile weapons is on the way. Creep spread has started pushing out as well. He would love to make sure that he can cover this base in some creep, also pushing through the middle now with a few tumors as well. Petraeus is looking very, very solid at this point. And for Blysk, I mean, he is starting to really pack together a large army. The one troublesome thing is, of course, the upgrades, which are very, very low at this point. And now, as Petraeus looks to utilize the Jaws strategy there, just lots of Roaches burrowing, get the cello going as he pushes forwards, takes out Immortals one by one, but he is losing. He is starting to lose a lot of those Roaches now, and as the Stalkers are blinking back, they're being very efficient with their trades. But still, Blysk is losing quite a few of his units here, down to 97 supply. He's on 46 workers at the moment, but is going to chase after all of these Roaches here to see if he can just kill off a couple of them before they get away. And as you can see, the Infestors are about to make it onto the field as well. So Blysk has been able, I'm actually really impressed with how Blysk has been able to just, he's just sort of held his opponent back for now. Like, Petraeus has been investing in the future more so than attacking, which is why we only just saw that first big roach attack pushing towards the third base. And there are those flanks I was talking about. Some Lings jumping into the third base, so you're going to target down some of the workers. Gets, like, 1 or something. In fact, wait. Yeah, he gets 1 or 2, I think. That was about it. So, as we were saying, investing in the future here is Petraeus. Getting these Infestors out. Very efficient energy units. They want to be able to throw down some Fungals, some Infested Terrans perhaps as well. If it can... Oh, those Stalkers, they are certainly on a knife edge there as they push up towards the ramp. The Infestors are available. There are Roaches all over the place. +1 to weapons now about to kick in for our Zerg player here. And as he picks up his 4th base, things are going to start to certainly trend towards the Zerg now, as Petraeus is up to 172 supply, just sort of lining up that concave there again. Out come the Fungals, a dodge to the side, a wonderful blink there from Blysk, but there are still more Fungals to come. 1, and a few more will be popping out here as the Infested Terrans are now being dropped out. There is a 2nd and a 3rd Fungal. The Roaches now pushing across. They want a piece of the action now as they cut down a lot of the Stalkers, but still, the Stalker count remains high for Blysk, along with a single Immortal as well. He is able to hold this back for now, and even chasing after a few of those leftover Roaches as well. Cleaning up those hurt Roaches and pushing his opponent back again. So, you know, again, Blysk has just been able to hold things firm for now. He's starting to get, he's going to get another Colossus out, sorry, an Immortal out. I would expect to see the Colossus get started soon. Like, maybe he could throw down the support bay in a moment, but I mean, the problem is that he's sort of mining off, you know, 1.5 bases at this point. The natural is just about to be mined out here, and he doesn't really have too many efficient units. We've got a lot of Blink Stalkers where they're really reliant on APM to be efficient, but once the Infestors come out, they can really ruin your day. So Petraeus then doing another run by here, gets some Lings inside the main base, will take out one of the Immortals, very nicely done. Diving inside to see what his opponent is up to in the main base. Wants to take this Robo down, may actually get that. There's a lot of Lings there and they're all targeted on the Robo, but an Immortal will pop out. Will the Zealots be able to keep it all together? It looks like just in time the Zealots and the Immortal save the day, and well, Blysk is going to start he's going to start another Immortal there on that very low health Robo. But Hydras are now being added in. +2 to weapons on the way. Carapace also being researched by Petraeus at this point. So he's sitting very, very comfortably at this moment. Now, the economy isn't normally where you'd see it for this kind of timing and this kind of, I guess, this kind of level of play. It's at 56 drones right now, but I mean, it's not a huge issue because he's been constantly trading a lot of the units with his opponents. So Blysk is going to have to see if he can get something done. He would love to be able to take out this third base here as well. Maybe even kill off some of the drones. Some of the Infestors would be also a really good target too. But it's going to be hard to try and target them down as we see a few Infested Terrans come out, just trying to hold the Mothership Core back. Blysk is just sort of, you know, can I go on this? There's so much there. Of course, Petraeus cannot see his opponent just yet, but now as he maneuvers around the corner, Blysk is going to be looking to clear up some of this creep spread while he buys some time, gets a second Robo out. And I think we may see him jump on the Colossus train shortly, but I would, if he can put another base down, that would be perfect for a Protoss player to keep him alive right now. Because at the moment, he's sort of treading water. Wow, this one Roach now just coming through. One single Roach has made it across towards the third base. We do see a Sentry and a Stalker warping in. Look at this Zealot here. What a brave chap there. Just going to jump in right in front of that Roach. The Roach has +1 to Carapace and +2 to weapons as well. Whereas this Zealot has absolutely nothing. +1 to the ground weapons just starting up now for Blysk. So he's quite a ways behind when it comes to the upgrades at this point. We can see the +2 to Carapace on the way for Petraeus. The Colossus Robo Bay Den is all done now. Support Bay popping out. We'll get the extended thermal lance started and probably a Colossus or two. Or in fact, what? There was must have been a single Ling that made its way inside the base. But speaking of units making it in, a couple of Roaches are now just going to burrow their way through. I think, yeah, Blysk saw that. Really nicely done to pick that up. I'm quite surprised. Is there... There is an observer, but that's with the rest of the forces. I'm a little bit surprised he made it all the way. But really cool stuff there from Petraeus. Just to send a couple of units in. You don't have to be crazy, you know, send massive amounts of the roaches in. Just one or two every now and then. Infestor going to pop up here. Try and get a couple of probe kills. There's the one, there's the two. Not overlapping too much of that fungal growth. Nicely done. A couple of infested Terrans will drop down as well. Going to unburrow some of the roaches inside the natural base. And, well, he's going to look for a kill, but nothing's going to happen here. A cannon finishes up. That one Stalker there with no upgrades is going to have quite a tough time. In fact, the Roach does not kill it. 4 health left over. But this game has just started to, I think Petraeus is just really starting to move things into a position where he's just going to be able to smash through this late game here. No matter the fact that we can see Colossi is starting to come out, I think that Blysk is going to have a tough time unless he can secure a 4th base. He needs to pick up this 4th as soon as possible because things are really starting to... He's starting to have a lot of trouble mining now as well, as we can see. Just the one base. No mining at the natural or the main base either. This one random ling inside the main base of Blysk here. But as we can see, the Protoss army, the problem here is the upgrades. We've got just the +1 to weapons here. Blysk is trying to catch up in that regard. A Warp Prism is now on the way out to try and support this force of units that is now pushing forwards. And it looks as if with a couple of hallucinations, Blysk is going to try and have you know, the best possible fight that he can. Maybe if he sort of uses the fake Colossi to soak up some damage or something like that, he might be able to have a little bit of a better fight. But everything is positioned rather well here for Petraeus. He comes in from the back with some Roaches and some Hydras. Blinding Cloud drops down on top of all of these units here. And despite an incredible spread of force fields, I still think that Petraeus is going to have his cake and eat it too, as the units now approaching from all sides. The last Colossus is left standing, although there are a couple of hallucinations that'll stick around and soak up some damage. But that is going to be it, I would say, as Petraeus smashes through his opponent here, takes him down to 48 supply. And you would presume that that is going to be it. The last Colossus trying to run some sentries warping in here, but nice little force field donut on the Roaches and the Hydras there. But it's all a little bit too late now for Blysk, as his last Colossus trying to run away with 18 health, getting a few shields back, but Petraeus is going to push forwards. He's got too many Roaches and Hydras, and also with that Infestor support, that has really helped out a lot. So he's going to push in for the final attack in just a moment here. Of course, Blysk has done a wonderful job. As I said, I really thought after the 7-gate, you know, the attempted 7-gate blink attack that it was all done there, but Blysk was able to stick it out and, you know, took it into the macro game where he certainly looked like he was starting to move into a good position, but it was just in particular the upgrades were giving him a lot of trouble there. As my phone is ringing, I don't know why someone's ringing me at this hour, but as we can see, Petraeus just assembling the last armada of units now. 180 or 195 supply. He's going to push down the ramp, and a single Colossus and a couple of sentries are not going to be able to do too much. Walks forwards, Blinding Cloud. That is going to be a GG, well played, and a good luck, as this was the second game in this set. But I thought we'd just do this one, as it was a little bit better than the first game, but really good game from both of these players. Really impressed with Blysk's ability to stick around and try and take that to the, as we said earlier, the macro game, where he probably feels like he has a little bit more of a stronger position against the Zerg players. But Petraeus, far too strong, able to hold things together and finish it out with Roach, Hydra, and Infestor at the end. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch you all next time. Here. As you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really nicely there. And for Minigun, he's been sticking with a much more